So, today we're back at it again. So, as many of you know, I made an FPE Iceberg chart last year for its first anniversary, where I went over different topics, whether it was light to disturbing. Now, despite the support it had, I wasn't really satisfied with the product as it was a little too goofy, rushed, and polished to my liking, and so I decided to go ahead and remake it to have a more serious tone, but also to discuss more things and get into topics with more of an explanation or give them a brief summary, and with what I have in hand for that topic for now, as some may have limited information or limited screenshots and whatnot. Also, it will just be myself explaining everything, and not many people, since they don't like certain topics discussed here, or they don't like drama, or they were too busy, so today I'm a lone wolf. I want to tell you also a warning before we get into it, that it will get into some very disturbing and disgusting territory with themes such as predation, NSFW, and etc. Please do not continue if you do not want to see that, but if you do, viewer discretion is advised. Now, to explain what an iceberg chart is, it is a thing where you can put multiple genres into the picture and explain different topics. The top usually consists of well-known, less disturbing, or nicer topics, but when you keep going down, it keeps getting darker and darker and darker, and with way more and less well-known facts or more disturbing facts. This is basically what it is, and what we will do here today. So, with that out of the way, welcome to the official FPE Iceberg Redrawn.
Every day I go to a school that likes to help with learning. 1, 2, 3, they're the keys. Basic math, very easy. To Baldi's world of fun where no one is still educated. Every door is locked up tight. Stay inside till we're great.
Of course, we can't talk about this without this being the main one, FPE. This originated from a 4-minute video named Basics in Behavior that Katie herself created on March 1st, 2024, aka today's date, 2 years ago, and would be the only animation made with none other being produced after it. In the video, it shows the protagonist, named Claire, going to the school with a bunch of other characters, including 3 different killer teachers named Miss Bloomy, Miss Thavel, and the main one, and the most intimidating, being the Circle. Throughout the animation, we see 2 students being killed off, Claire dealing with the bully trio, and outrunning the killer teachers. At the climax, Claire comes to face with a demon in a room at the back of the school named Alice, who goes and chases after Claire, ultimately killing her, and with everybody staring at her body, while the 3 teachers get mad at 2 of the bullies, Zip and Oliver. It was a very well made video, and all for it to be done by the, at the time, 15-year-old Katie. If it isn't very obvious, the inspiration came from Baldi's Basics, as well as the song in the background used as the theme, as well as her explaining in her bio that it was inspired from it due to her love for the song. Now, as you can clearly see, there are some parallels and differences between them. In Baldi's, you complete tests correctly, but if you fail, Baldi will come after you and smack you with a ruler when he catches you. Or at least is what we like to think, but mainly, yeah. In FPE's case, if you dare to fail a test, you have 3 teachers who want to kill or eat you alive. Or, in the most extreme cases, if you go to Alice's door, you get ripped up to pieces by a demon. I do want to point out that there were fans of Baldi's who accused Katie of blatantly stealing the IP in the song, yet neglecting to understand that the Living Tombstone themselves owned the song, while Mistman12, the creators of Baldi, it publicly stated that he was fine with it. And we will go ahead to explain this topic way later, so stay tuned for that. To say FPE became a success overnight would be an immense understatement. The views grew from a few hundred to 1,000 to hundreds of thousands, soon reaching 1 million as well as her subscriber count, which only had a few thousand at the time, and skyrocketed further and further. This would also boost her into the spotlight of her Twitter art and other animations in the present. Fan art with things that become popular is a natural occurrence. They will usually get a piece of fan art dedicated to one. Fan art, for those who don't know, is if you're a fan of the show or something and you draw something related to that, mostly involving the characters or the universe. Many characters of hers, including the ones that aren't even FPE related, and even of her own Sona, which is basically an OC that you make that is based on yourself, would all receive fan arts. Some good, some bad, but overall so much to overdose on. Heck, I myself make fan art of FPE from time to time, even doing commissions for them. And I'm going to put in a little bit of a plug, which you can check out here and request at any time by DMing me or commenting here. Just read the rule sheet first on my Instagram, X, or Reddit, or have it be sent via those apps or Discord. But yeah, just contact me whenever you want. Cosplay is the act of you dressing up as your favorite character for the media you watch. Now, this can range from something like anime, video games, cartoons, movies, or a live-action show, or many other medias. You can mainly see these during conventions that are dubbed as cons, depending on what it is, such as Anime Con, Minecon, or Comic Con. Mostly, on TikTok and social media platforms, people have cosplayed as different characters like Zip, Abby, Engel, Claire, Alice, even as Katie herself, and also of other characters. A recent video I found on Instagram was of a person at a school play dressed up as Zip and with her little brother dressed up as Chip, which in the universe of FPE is Zip's baby brother, and dancing to the song "You Are a Pirate" in the background, which is absolutely freaking precious. Katie herself has been quite the cryptic individual. Sometimes she would explain stuff, but would be very closed off, but other times she would just leave stuff a mystery and never fully explain much. She has quite the art presence on Twitter, or aka X, that shows off both her FPE and non-FPE works, such as different characters, settings, and other things that branch off of that. Additionally, sometimes she would rely on close individuals or really closed off info to give out to confirm something, such as where she confirmed to Etchy Luden, more on her later, in her DMs that Mr. Compass, this character, was supposed to be Circle's boyfriend or friend, but also was her weapon. Aside from FPE, Katie made many other works prior to FPE that weren't as popular but are notable enough. Some of these include Therefore You and Me, Virus, Machine Girl, I'm Going to Kill Your Family, Moonlight, this obscure piece called Meow, and a deleted one titled Why Are You Blinking So Much, based off the popular sound meme of the same name. Each of these videos would feature either new characters that are in the dubbed Katieverse, or ones who were featured and would later return in FPE, including Claire, with the only redoing to one being Scary the Cat, which I believe was turned into Cubby the Cat. Speaking of Cubby the Cat, there are other characters who only got a few minutes of screen time and only getting a glance on screen. In the beginning, there is these cat twins, a stick man, and a snake creature thing. Later on, during the ending, other characters are seen, such as these little ones with Miss Sasha. Now, not much are known about these background characters, but I kinda do wish we got to see more of them. Speaking of characters, let's talk about their designs. Some of the students and the teachers look quite interesting, to say the least. Some have horns, some are furry, some are human, some are humanoid, some are different in their own way. To go through a brief list, Bubble is made of, well, obviously bubbles. Cubby is a cat. Abby is a human. Lana is a human type of something. And Engel is probably a flightless bird. Ruby is a TV robot. Lizzie is a demon of sorts. And Petunia is a rabbit. And as for the teachers, Circle and Bloomy are both obviously demons of sorts. Demi is a humanoid of something. Sasha is a human. Emily is a sort of demon, or maybe sometimes a sheep, as other people said. And Grace is a demon of sorts. It's hard to really say for sure what some of them are, but I'd say it's worth kind of the search. If you're wondering, yes, I left Thalvo out on purpose, and I will get onto her more thoroughly later. There is a ton of merchandise that was produced to capitalize off the popularity of FPE, mainly from non-official sources, and some I actually own. The most notable was 2 plushies involving the Circle and Oliver that are sold literally everywhere online that most likely everyone in the community has. Sometimes they can look fairly decent and be looking professional, while other times they can look busted and weird looking, like how Miss Circle can have sometimes a fat face versus a normal face. Other items include blankets that I do have, stickers, I have those too, phone cases, shirts, and backpacks, just to name a few. There's an endless amount of stuff from them and from so many places, but there was a time where we got really close to getting real FPE merch. On one of Katie's posts on X, there was a comment left by Makeship expressing interest in wanting to collaborate with her to make merchandise. Makeship, for those who don't know, is a toy making company that specializes in making toys for fans in collaboration with the creators of said media. Unfortunately, Katie never gave Makeship a response back, which is both a missed opportunity, fumble in the bag type of thing, but understandable given that she was way too young to do so, and how it was only made for her to have fun and not spawn a whole fandom. There are some errors that are seen in the animation as you progress through it. One is where Miss Circle breaks down the left side door when trying to get to Abby, but when it goes to her, the right side is the one that's broken. But yet when Lana enters, the left side is the one that gets broken again. The second is when Claire's looking up at Miss Bloomy, and her hand appears black when gripping the paper, when, in an earlier scene, her hand is white. And the last happens when the 3 teachers stare down at Zip and Oliver, and we see Miss Circle doesn't have her compass arm anymore. It appears to have almost a curled fist on her left arm, despite that being a stump in later artwork where she puts her compass on. Alternate universes, or also known as AUs, is where it's the same universe but with something different added to it, such as the roles of the characters being swapped, the scenario they're in, or how they interact. There have been many AUs created for FPE that pretty much makes Undertale blush. And it involves them either being taken to the future, and then being swapped, like said before, or put in a different universe or world, or adds a new scenario, or makes them just normal. Some of them include the Danger AU, where it takes place 2 years after Basics in Behavior, when the school becomes a military school. The Science AU, where the students are caught in a nuclear blast and mutated into horrible creatures, and the staff tries their best to cure them. The Swap AU, where the roles of the teacher and student are switched. Zombie AU, which features zombies, obviously. The Culinary AU, where they cook. Yep. And the Galaxy AU, where it shifts the scene from a school to a space agency, and many others. Each one is unique, but goodness, there's far too many. With some of the AUs comes videos to go along with them, like the Danger AU, the Science AU, and more. Some take it even a step further and add dynamics and relationships and emotion and humanity to the characters, not making them be there just only for show. This can be seen in Claire's Precious Little Life, or CPLL, created by Toonsy, who made each character have their own dynamics with one another and show what FPE could have been if it was actually worked upon. Now, some people take FPE and add in elements of horror, such as the Smile Parasite, the Vitality AU, which both ramp stuff up. On the game aspect, many games were created to tie into FPE, like the official FPE fan game. Most of these come from Roblox, however. Some titles are FPES, Fundamental, FPE The Fan Game, FPE VVED, please change that title, and the most recent one being Paper Cut. FPE may have its own original characters, but they aren't the only ones. Many people, including myself, made OCs to fit into the universe of FPE to interact with the characters. Some OCs I can list here are Miss Hiroko, Very, Miss Malum, Nashiki, Mr. Barrel, the FPE era type, and of course, my own OC, A. They each have their own unique features and personalities that can be used within the universe, and it's something that further helps the community interact better with one another. Alice is a demon who resides at the school and kills anybody who enters her room, except for Oliver because, well, he's her boyfriend. Not much is known about Alice or why she decided to reside at the school, but theories among fans range from her being linked to Claire somehow, and Oliver somehow harboring her there by some form of magic, or even going as far as to say that it's a link to the Katieverse realm, aka the real world, where it's sort of a metaphor of Alice being the protector between the paper world, the fictional world, and the real world, killing anybody foolish enough to try and escape. Fen is another one of Katie's creatures that isn't a part of the FP universe, but is instead part of the Katieverse. Fen is a tall humanoid monster that has female features, thin pointy legs, and sharp claws and teeth. Strangely enough, the only thing it doesn't attack is sister, who is its wife according to Moonlight and fan speculation. Not much is known about her, but theories still bounce around about it. Yet another cryptid made by Katie, Nameless Werewolf, is ironically the name given to this tall humanoid creature that stands over Claire while holding a bloodied weapon in its right claw. Again, not much is known about this creature, except that it is one of the antagonists in the Katieverse. On December 7th of 2024, Katie posted a picture of Alice getting beaten by a character named Agatha, a character previously seen in the virus animation, who stands menacingly over her. Some say Agatha is more stronger than Alice, but others argue that this was prior to when Alice was a demon, noting that she doesn't have her necklace on her. Now, if this wasn't obvious enough because of her design and the animation, Miss Thavel is a Wendigo. What is a Wendigo, you ask? Well, a Wendigo is a creature home to Algonquin natives in the Great Lakes region of the US and Canada, commonly associated with greed, winter, and hunger. In folklore, it is described as a tall, gaunt, skin-on-bone creature with ash-gray skin, sharp claws, and sunken eyes with a thirst for human flesh. Some depictions in the current day add a more deer-like appearance, but overall it's mainly the latter. Looking at Miss Thavel, it is clear that she is obviously a Wendigo. In the animation, she gets a little bit taller, ravenous, and with sharper claws and deer antlers, while also having a deer tail and a furry look at the midsection and legs. She seems to be a mix of both the folklore and current-day Wendigo look, but contrasting to the image of a Wendigo, she looks way more fluffier and more cuter than her scarier counterpart that is supposed to be represented. In one scene from the animation where it shows Alice, the rest of the students in the scene are scared while Kevin remains unfazed, almost unpleased by her being there. There isn't much explanation as to why he's not scared, but some people say that he knows of her weakness or has seen this many times or this and that. ships are way too familiar with the fandom, and there being more than normal stuff seen. Some are normal, such as Oreo Cat, Enclair, Zipword, Wanabe, Demi-Shasa, etc. And some are just poorly written Yuri or Yaoi trope slop that tries to excuse coworker ex-boss relationships or force two students into a relationship that really doesn't have any dynamics to really stand, such as Sarumi, M. Grace, Liz Tunya, Engabby, Lonzip, Zipclair, etc. Then we have the more problematic ones that should have people be locked up for trying to make this stuff, such as Circle X Abby, Thavel X Abby, or just literally any adult X minor stuff, which is known as pro-shipping. Now the fandom is widely rampant with people who try to justify it or make it, whether it be with the sole purpose of attention, projection, or for actually a good purpose, which is rarely seen here, as well as it being made actually good. Headcanons are just like ships, but are mainly just in the head and made more instantly about how you yourself portray the character, which is justified by them giving that there is zero canon material to go off of. Just like the ships, some can be great, but some can be extra stupid sounding, with some examples being that Thavel is the mother of Zip and Chip, which doesn't really make any sense considering that Zip and Chip are both dragon-human hybrids, whereas Thavel's a Wendigo, and quite obviously would not care about children. With anything becoming popular, greedy people begin to rub their hands together with dollar signs in their eyes and begin to produce the most idiotic animation known to man, sacrificing creativity and child safety for that nice flow of cash. A notable example of this is Andreas Skander, a Jester ripoff channel that does IRL and 3am content, when he made several videos of Miss Circle and other characters going through things, such as pregnancy, divorce, and even going as far as to add that Baldy is the father of their child, and having them be married. Luckily, he did stop, and so far the brain rot has ended, but during the peak it was quite the rocky time. Eni, or better known as Edgy Luden, emerged in the summer of 2024 and created Basis in Behavior Advanced class and gained many views from it. She would later become Katie's best friend and would be the one to address to the people that Compass was Circle's partner, as stated earlier. Everything seemed fine and dandy on the surface, but later on things would get very questionable. During major drama in late 2024, her ego would start to show by how she began to say how she was the pillar of the fandom and how she was the one keeping everything together. During one incident with someone else, she made an OC, Miss Malum, that was supposed to be Abby's mom, but made that drama far much worse because everybody critiqued the other person's representation of Abby's mother whilst praising Edgy Luden's creation. It would only get way worse as she started blocking people out of nowhere and started hiding behind the excuse that she blocks freely and that she was sensitive. Then, in 2025, she would place her FPE videos under membership only, forcing you to pay for them, which came off as scummy and a greedy move, and allegedly including Darkship material in her storyline, which isn't really confirmed, at least to me. Then there's the mess of her Discord server, where mods ban people for even breathing and treating the rules like it's 1984. I myself can actually speak to this one since I warned them about hackers and stuff that is going to come soon, and I was banned a day later for supposedly starting drama when I wasn't. I was there just to alert people and let them know that they should have security ready. Currently, things are not too smooth, but somewhat, but it does really show how messy that her Discord is, as well as herself, and how she's just very questionable. But she is kind of improving, and at least is making an effort, so I do applaud her. This features Edgy again, but in the second half. Now, to go into this one, it began with a user or a person on Reddit, since I think it was posted either on both pages or just one, but either way, it was one user who created the Miss Ava character and was supposed to be the role of Abby's mother. While some comments were nice, some degenerates spawned in and made highly inappropriate comments to her character, and others began to berate the creator for making her a lot more exposed and seductive than needed. Coupling with that fact that Edgy, aka Annie, made Miss Malum at the same time, it drew more comparisons and scrutiny to the creator, forcing Annie to make a statement by using Miss Malum to convey a message to respect everyone's choices and characters, which made the issue die down majorly. During late 2024, there were many pages on the FPE wiki that were hacked and changed the names of some characters to, let's just say, some unsavory German symbols and controversial leaders and terrorists, as well as changing the bios to read out as something further inappropriate. The issue since then has been resolved, but it was quite the strange thing. This started as a trend from the MOP fandom, where characters from My Little Pony would get turned into analog horror-looking characters or some creatures of hell because of a virus that broke out. Now, there is countless media that features these, that include but are not limited to Bluey, SpongeBob, Trolls, Undertale, Sonic, and the Amazing Digital Circus, just to name a few. FPE is no stranger to this, as there is far many infection AUs within it, including the Vitality AU, which will be explained further. Now, depending on which one you look at, some AUs can be somewhat related to zombies, and compared to, again, the Vitality AU, where there is more of a true aspect of horror that is the infection AU. Emerging in late 2024 was a series of drawings where Miss Grace and Miss Circle, Claire and Zip, or Angle and Abby, that depicted one of the characters in an obsessive state known as lovesick, while the other was suffering or being abused because of their partner. Now, for obvious reasons, these were quite disturbing, especially the ones that went as far as to show them, let's just say self-harming, self-offing, or murdering one another. Whilst murder is prevalent in FPE and isn't too disturbing with some images, these depicted it as more disturbing and just ramped up the chill factor and just made it just absolutely more jarring. It is lucky that these never became a trend and died really fast, and I hope they never come back. On Reddit during the summer of 2024, users in the FPE subreddit began to say how depressed they were, with many of them not including a reasoning, but speculation can be brought in, like harassment they were dealing with, IRL issues, and hate groups. It is unknown as to why so many of them did this, and why this happened. As I said earlier, FPE drew a lot of criticism from Baldi's fans who said that KD stole it from them. One or many of the preachers would be a group named as the Baldi Soldists, or nicknamed by me and many others in the community as the Baldi Communists, would go around and harass any FPE fan and allegedly made fun of somebody who took their own life because of them. Now, not only is their tactic to prove Baldi is better than FPE so cringe and pathetic, not only dangerous, but their profile pictures are just a laugh. All they do is just take characters such as Lincoln Loud, Luna Loud, or even a freaking rhino and horribly edit them to resemble Baldi's signature look. As of now, no other thing about them has surfaced, and hopefully it stays that way. A fan fiction is where a fan of their media writes a story about their favorite characters or the world around it to make the plot feature horror, action, romance, and other genres. Some of these are actually really good, and some can be pretty good to read, but most of them just abuse this freedom to create the most dumbest and the most disturbing stories ever read. 3 of them will be mentioned at the very bottom later on, but to get a feel, some contain incest, pedophilia, abuse storylines, to an animation that doesn't even feature this, by the way. And do be warned, viewer discretion is advised if you do want to read these out for curiosity or just because you want to. R34, aka Rule 34, is the internet rule that everything will have not safe for work content revolved around it, and yes, it plagues kids shows too. FPE fans have always had duality to NSFW content that comes through. Most fans like it, most fans will rise up and attack whoever makes it, depending on the circumstance, however. Minors, aka the students, having NSFW made on them is extremely prohibited, while the teachers, just some of them, and without minors or students involved, is generally considered okay. Some fans like it, some don't, while some like one thing, some like the others. Yeah, some of them are just creeps. Disgusting, predatory creeps. The issue is that it's just way too prevalent when searching for FPE that about 9 times out of 10, you will see a SFW or NSFW image of somebody or said character, sometimes with over-proportionate features compared to the canon animation. With the current rise of AI, it's no wonder that eventually you will talk to an AI chatbot soon from apps like Character AI, Polybuzz, Talkie, Fantasy AI, and many more apps in other places too. Some can be normal, but some can be a little too spicy, and some can be questionable. It doesn't make it any better that people interacting with them may have some ulterior motives, including with the younger characters named Chip. This is more of a personal pick that I wanted to do, just for fun, and to see what characters fit them the most. Now, to those not familiar with Christianity or religion or anything to do with sin, the 7 deadly sins are pride, lust, greed, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth, which are said to be the sins that separate one's soul from God. Countless media has portrayed these, such as the anime of the same name, movies, and TV, as well as in art and literature. So for my choosing, I'll go in order for right here, starting with Lizzie for pride, due to her being one of those popular girls who takes pride in their look and status. Lust can either go to Oliver or Alice, as they both show some very intense love moments together, which can be a bit much at times. Greed and gluttony would obviously have to go to Bavel because, well, she's a Wendigo. Envy will most likely be Kevin, as he is mainly seen with an envious looking facial expression with every iteration. Wrath will obviously go to Circle, as she is seen actively showing off how dangerous she is when you fail her class. And Sloth will have to go to Oliver again, and it seems like he'd be the type of character to not even do much. So, yeah. Wagner is the leader of most anti-FPE groups that were aimed to raid Discord servers and harass people with gore or graphic imagery, as well as having alternate accounts to go harass people, and he's just basically all talk and no bite. As soon as you press him or do something he doesn't like, he throws the excuse that he has to sleep or that he just wants it to stop, and yet comes back every month to take an L. So, basically if you just see him, just block him, or embarrass him, whatever you want. Back on the topic of anti-FPE, there were 2 notable groups in the beginning, one being Thugboria, and one was the HOSPC. Now despite having the same name, they each would have the same purpose, which is making every FPE fan's life miserable. But, just like with Wagner, they pretty much have all talk and no bite, and were pretty much dissolved. During 2025, Katie deleted her account, and Right after that, there was a plague of copycat accounts that masked themselves as Katie and attempted to say some stuff that was never confirmed or tried to ruin her reputation by doing so and make her look extremely bad. Personally, I actually ran into one that I became friends with on Instagram and had been well acquainted with. And what tricked me was the real close art style they had and how cryptic they were, just like the actual one. But that was until a Discord server that was related to FPE, known as FPE, they raided the server and caused it to get deleted after saying it was fake. On one part of YouTube, or X, you will find some users who ship Abby, mind you, a 15-year-old character, with every girl in both the FPE and Katieverse. Most of them seem to be in South America since most of them speak in Spanish mainly, as well as in the comments. One infamous example that I already exposed previously was EAR. To quickly summarize, he made one image where Abby broke his pelvis with a large woman, made multiple girls in the FPE universe thirst after him, and also would have done Melly's OC had it not been for everybody giving him backlash. It is only getting worse and worse as people keep doing so, especially through Gotcha Life. Mainly because, well, none of them have good skills to offer, and many of them have, well, to summarize it, the brain of an almond. Everybody knows what happens at the end of the Basics in Behavior video. Claire dies, and Engel witnesses her body. Some iterations, like Toonsy's CPLL, Engel walks off and to the outside and cries as he curls up while it's dark and rainy. This is more mild, but there are some iterations that have Engel go insane with rage and vengeance and have him go after the bullies that made this happen and kill them or dismember them in unnecessary degrees while depicting every scene. As you can imagine, not everybody loves them, including myself, as they claim Engel wouldn't suddenly snap like a creepypasta character because of this. It's just not what he does. He's not gonna turn into like a Jeff the Killer ripoff. It's just not how it's gonna turn out. In episode 2 of Claire's Precious Little Life, when the students are surrounding Alice's room, Oliver opens the door and lets out her to show everybody, and shows what happens when you go into her room. All of a sudden, Riley comes in to try and fight Alice and says that nobody will get in her way with her love of Oliver, much to everybody's disapproving stares. Then it's decided that she will be the sacrifice. So, the circle hands Riley off to Alice, and that's when the dismemberment happens. The Vitality AU was created by Stick the Man in 2025 and follows the story of Zip being chased after by Bloomy after a horrible event happened that mutated Blooming into a creature of sorts. This takes some inspiration from the Infection AUs from different universes, but cranks the creepiness factor high, supported by good animation. On the other hand, Nightmare of the Morgue, made by the hated animator Christopher Lincoln, takes place in the same universe, but it takes more of a Five Nights at Freddy's vibe by having Abby, Lana, Bubble and Claire and other characters coming after the protagonist after being revived. Now the animation is decent for what it is, and yes, it is an animation, not a game. Now, remember when I mentioned that Christopher Lincoln was hated? Well, yeah. Well, we're gonna dive into that right now. Christopher Lincoln, or also known as Flackery, recently was exposed for talking to somebody younger than him who was 15 and he was in his 20s, and he tried to solicit pictures from the said minor while they were together. Another thing he was exposed of was being tied to the game Wet Paper, made by a controversial person. What is that, you may ask? Well, that's what our next subject is about. Wet Paper is a Roblox condo game that was made by Vicar Cal. Roblox condo games are games where all sorts of sexual things happen while under the nose of Roblox's moderation and are pretty much still operating under that. Vicar Cal is a disgusting individual with photos showing that he has made racist comments and sexual comments to not only Katie's characters, but to Katie herself and even to other users. Even going as far as to put her in and having her doing stuff that I really cannot say or show here, except show censored photos, obviously, as well as just sharing NSFW photos of Katie, as well as thinking of adding Melly the Apple to the game. It is hopeful that his game gets reported and hopefully taken down, as well as his whole account, but only time will tell, and I just hope he gets locked up. The FPE subreddit has a large amount of flaws that have yet to be fixed. Now, to list some stuff off, the mods have previously had favoritism for Shax and banned anybody who critiqued her, even nicely. They purposely let one in under supervision due to their previous issues in the sub a while back, and you may know who I'm talking about. They banned me after I publicly expressed how suspicious it was and how the person CytoXD publicly posted Bafflex Abby on both Reddit and X, and they try to have the excuse that managing a server is hard despite there being plenty of manpower there at the time, and them having to rely on somebody doing something bad within the server to warrant a ban and never ever researching outside about as to why they're bad and why it should be that they should be banned. And on many occasions, they have kept people within the subreddit, even after them knowing that they're problematic or they've done something bad. As far as I'm aware, Cyto was banned, Emmett64 was banned, kind of. Frederico, or Mr. Freddy, also may be there, and God knows who else is. They much rather do something when it's too late instead of take action now, and then when they get criticized, they much rather put you on blast instead of finding ways to improve the place. A document would be made on Katie, made by Axlet, which was filmed with misinformation and mainly assumption, whilst also glossing over how young she was at the time and how she wasn't doing anything like that anymore, and even going as far as to say how her following people who were NSFW makers were a supposed issue and hinted to her having a sex addiction. Most, if not all, these claims are nothing but a bunch of BS that was carried by him and his impressionable fans, even going as far as to dox people who don't believe them, such as me, for example, when I confronted many of them, and they nearly doxed me. Just as we were getting into 2025, still in late 2024, Katie unlists basis in behavior, saying in the description that she doesn't want it to get any more popular than it already is. Many people took it upon themselves to go and repost the video on YouTube for all to see, much to the dismay of fans and Katie herself. At around the same time, Katie would put on her bio on X that, quote, "I just want to start all over again," before deleting it, as well as her YouTube too. Her handles on both X and YouTube are currently saved by fans to prevent any misuse of her name to be carried out by trolls and hackers. As I said in my previous point earlier, Art34 artists aren't too bad as long as their art sticks to acceptable norms. Some of them take advantage and rather waste talent creating slop that has them draw the characters in over-exaggerated features such as delete alliance, or take OCs from creators who are minors and sexualize them, or sexualize the minor characters that are even OCs that are minors. I previously exposed a few artists in an earlier video that you should definitely watch, where I run down the legality, laws and regulations and whatnot and why it's wrong. Some names that I did mention there are Star, someone who drew Miss Grace and Miss Circle's child, watching them go at it, Fetus Slurper, who drew a lot of Circle x Abby content and went as far as to show Abby R-wording Circle, Cyto XD, someone who groomed a 15-year-old and made Thavel x Abby content with one piece showing Thavel R-wording Abby, and many more names tied to this. And right after I finish talking about this topic, one of them will be named, and actually, a few names will be mentioned, one past and one future one I will expose. Speaking of which, a very familiar and infamous name, Emmett64 has done quite the damage to his reputation, all while claiming to stop yet never even doing so, as well as trying to be as dumb as possible in every single aspect. To name a few things he did do, he made 3 separate pictures of Katie herself being nude or getting R-worded by himself as a character. Now mind you, he's in his 20s. Katie was 16 during this time. So yeah, that's not great. He's made several images of the minor characters, either going at it or getting R-worded, with him using the aged up excuse to escape controversy. One picture, that I can't show for obvious reasons, depicts Claire getting R-worded by a werewolf. And he has self-off-baited a minor and made the said person become so depressed from it. It doesn't help that the person has autism either, which may or may not be relevant, but it's still kind of worth noting. And on many occasions, he has tried to call me out, especially after releasing the video about him and many others, yet to no avail, as everybody surprisingly was against him after this, even getting embarrassed twice. I gotta say, it's always a good day when Emmett takes an L. Now, I want you to bear with me on this one. I'm not the one making the allegations, I'm just the person delivering the news. This is more allegation material since the person who contacted me about this, who I will leave anonymous to not let them be harassed, did not provide pictures, but I was on call with him for about 2 hours as we were talking back and forth. On the call, he was talking about his issues with the FPES mods on Discord, but mentioned how the Alice VA had allegedly groomed somebody and had relations with someone underage. Now again, I'm saying this is alleged, it's not a fact, and I have nothing yet. I'm still waiting on information, but until that comes, I'll still keep tabs on what that could possibly be. FPE has always had the reputation of having constant drama every single day of the week. Sometimes it's for something huge, sometimes it's for something small. A few recent examples are the Abby dance for FPE Detention, a Roblox game, and Miss Emily's skin tone swap. So, for FPE Detention, the creator posted an animation of Abby doing his same dance he did in his GIF right here, but as it turns out, the audio behind it and where it originated from was a song that supported pedophilia. Everybody was jumping on the creator, and they didn't help it because they started doubling down hard on this decision to keep it in and saying that everybody was sensitive. On one hand, I kinda do agree, but on the other hand, dude, what are you doing? You're making things a lot worse than they have to be. Now, over on the Emily side, an artist made a pic of Miss Emily in bed and talking on the phone, yet her skin tone was white instead of black, basically whitewashing her. Everybody and their mother was hounding them, with some calling it rage bait and some calling it racist. Every day, there is a new issue about something. On top of that, when there is an issue, like let's say for something small, do they tell them to kindly that, there's an issue? Nope. No, they don't. No. That's wishful thinking. They instead complain and complain, even when the person isn't even at fault. And some, I believe, just need to grow a brain and learn how to act like a mature being. I think it's no secret that it's pretty toxic. We already know that there is no constructive criticism or respect to be found whatsoever, but these are like the type of people to shoot you first and then ask questions to your dead body later. You could do something as little as maybe say something wrong, or for example, doing stuff without announcing them on Discord, and then boom, you get labeled as a jerk or something, and you don't get the chance to explain yourself. A part of the Katie allegations was that she did alleged pro-ship content on an older account named Little Elko. One example of this being this bunny character who would have been dating an adult character, but yet glossing over how the character was retconned beforehand to be an adult. Another was that she has made a sexual animation featuring two characters from Friday Night Funkin', a video game. Yet this was very much unproven, as well as how there was no correlation to back anything up, and their arguments are mainly just believe me or I will dox you. Speaking of doxing, back in the summer of 2024, a leader of the HOSPC at the time, who I will just shorten the S because it relates to Germany during World War II, named S. Claire, claimed to have Katie's information, publishing DMs about having her information and threatening to release them if she didn't stop her art. It is likely that he didn't actually have the information, but still, it was pretty rocky. AO3 is a website, just like Wattpad and other places, where you can write fanfictions and stories for all to read. Unlike everyone else, AO3 can get pretty unhinged. A lot worse compared to other platforms for personal experience. Some stuff I've seen on there feature R-wording, incest, pedophilia, and a lot of other issues that aren't really the greatest. Viewer discretion is still advised for those who are curious and want to check them out. Speaking of fanfics, we get to view 3 of them now. And this one we're going to be talking about is Cállate. Now, this translated into English means shut up. And this makes me believe that the authors of these 3 stories should be arrested or beaten within an inch of their life. For this story, it involves Zip as she greets a new student who came to town named Owen, who then takes a liking to her. Over time, it becomes less of a friendly meetup and more of an obsessive type thing, until one day it goes far, way too far. He would smack her, abuse her, R-word her, and keep doing so, with the story going as far as to include Chip and mention the most disgusting acts that I can't talk here, but I'm pretty sure you get the idea. Similar to the first one, this story follows Engel during the situation, whereas Cállate had it start at the beginning. The story that we're talking about is Nati de Krida, which translates to Nobody Believes You. So, this story begins with Engel being abused by somebody named Alex for a while. Just like the namesake of the story, no matter who he tells, nobody believes the abuse. He goes to his friends. They think he's insane. He goes to Claire, yet he almost chases her away. Not even his therapist or any staff from the school think it's real. In the mirror, in one scene, he lifts up his shirt and reveals the scars and bite marks and many wounds on his body from the many encounters with him. This may as well just take the cake of being the worst one, or one of the worst made, featuring such a horrendous amount of detail into it. This disgusting story is named Estrelita de Mar, which translates to Little Starfish, and starts with a new character, or new student, very original by the way, coming in being introduced to Zip and Chip, where the character gets particularly intrigued with Chip, wanting to babysit for him. She comes over to babysit Chip and dresses him up, but it turns really dark as the protagonist starts to think of dirty things with him around and having him be curious about it and taking his shirt off in one scene. And during that, she turns the volume up on the TV and, well, actually, I take back my point. The author doesn't deserve jail time. They deserve a punch to the face, a incredibly hard right hook, and I hope they get knocked out. And speaking of people who deserve a right hook, would be these two coming R34 artists, who I'll briefly get into here and go into detail more in a later video. Mr. Freddy is an R34 artist, of course, who steals minors' OCs such as Hiroko, Kuroro, and other characters and makes them either get impregnated and R-worded. And if you thought that wasn't enough, there's more. He goes out of his way to send R34 to minors, harass them, and, in one incident, sent a sexualized image of an OC to a minor named Natty of their OC named Natalie, and proceeded to make it a joke. Then we have another one. This is the second artist we'll be talking about, named Ingrid, or Isla Blades 13. There is quite a lot to unpack with her, but I'm just going to make it brief for now, as like I said, I'll get into her later. She has made many pro ships, including ones shipping Scotch and Hotchkiss, one with Margaret, and even one with herself and wanting to do any. She has made one picture where she has made an anthropomorphic dog character and her blushing at it, which could hint to bestiality claims. And finally, she has also blamed her mental health for doing this and making that be an excuse, as well as her having her brain-dead fans defend her every move. Like I say, it's quite the immature cesspool there. As discussed earlier, Fetus Slurper commonly ships Abby and Circle together like an idiot. In the AU, Abby is obsessed with Circle, even having a collar for her and even going as far as to make them have a kid in one scene. And as previously stated in both my earlier Iceberg video and FPE Artist video, I specified that it was never okay to ship a minor and adult like this and hide behind excuses such as a time skip, fiction, and not caring, where I destroyed every single argument and proved why these excuses fall flat and it's just utter denial. Considering that there is two that I know of, I'm going to throw them in and explain them both. One is the Parasite AU created by user/justadd6279 on Reddit, where it is explained that everybody has been infected and mutated into disgusting creatures. Engel is the only one who survived and is somehow immune due to one of the parasites entering him and trying to infect him but dying. But he now has to deal with the symptoms from that, as well as dealing with the creatures around him in the world. Now the designs of the creatures and characters are grotesque and disturbing, but are really, really cool. And the second one is the Smile Parasite, created by Bon Yoshi, where it proceeds to explain that the parasite is spread through bites, scratches, spores, as well as infecting somebody through chemical corrosion. And this is where the disturbing part comes in. In episode 2 and at the end, we see Engel pushing Claire out of the way as he slips on a banana peel and Claire prevents him from hauling, leading to the bully trio's unsuccessful attempt to prank them. Plan B is where they toss a bucket of liquid on Engel as he covers his face, but this isn't no ordinary liquid. No. This was Edward's special chemical mixed into a bucket, and soon we find out just how bad it is when Engel screams out loudly and his face melts and as he runs for the stairs, falling down them and killing him in the process. Most Reddit pages on FPE are fine, but there are some that are just a tad too much. Some are nothing but R34 and have the moderator as a predator, and some have zero care at all, and have some users posting some very questionable stuff. One thing I found once was a FPE subreddit, but it was quite the issue. What I saw was users wanting to ban some of the characters, including the minor ones. Nothing but NSFW topics on there as well. And no, this was not an FPE R34 subreddit. No, this was like a actual, like, non with basically with no NSFW in the title of it, as well as how the mod there just doesn't give a damn about any of it, nor does anything to improve it, but would just rather just join with it. And so everybody, that concludes the official FPE Iceberg Redrawn. I do apologize if some descriptions sound a bit brief or quick. It was mainly just to try and cut down on time, as the last one was 3 hours long, and many complained about how long it was. That, as well as taking off a few topics that weren't as important as the first one, and were just basically there for filler. Well, I just do hope that you did enjoy this one as much as I did. Just so you know, this will not be the only video that I will make. Sooner, I will be making a very special video for a 4th anniversary of a certain incident. So if you want to have that, just wait for March 10th and just stay tuned. Now, with that being said, I'll catch you all later. See y'all, and happy 2nd anniversary, FPE.